Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited about today's guest. He's an entrepreneur, Tyler Dunagin from Ohio, and he is founder and CEO of TurnServe. He's also a private equity backed founder, and he's going to talk to us all about entrepreneurship, his journey, his story, and we're going to do it through the lens of innovating the housing space through scalable services and products. One of those is which is Liquid Liner, which is surface refinishing technology. And I'm really happy to have him on and sponsor this episode. So Tyler, welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to being here and talking to you in the audience today.
Yeah, you're doing some really fantastic work, and you've built some $1 million brands. You're on the Inc. 5000. Talk about your journey, and we'll dive into some of the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you the very summarized version, and feel free to tap me on the shoulder if you want me to dive down deep here on any of them. In a nutshell, my background, I was playing college football. I played semi-pro football. Decided it was time to quit getting hurt and start making some money. And I started off flipping houses in the residential single-family space. It was me. I had a small crew. I had outside investors. We'd buy houses together, and I realized it was a little bit too slow for me. And I'll be honest, I created the job for myself, and I did not enjoy it. Every decision was through me. I couldn't delegate. I was still learning as a manager. So that was early 20s for me. I talked to a mentor and he told me, you need to look at multifamily. And I said, that's great. And I hear that. I don't know anything about it. And he says, that's fine. Come in. Let's talk. He has a couple billion assets under management. And he said, you need to look at multifamily. It's big, it's predictable, it's scaling, and it's uniform. You could do this. And so I started consulting in the multifamily space, anything from leasing operations to maintenance operations to asset management, you name it. I ended up being a director for a company with about 50 people under me. I actually helped one high net worth individual get rid of his third party management company, and he started to owner manage it. And I built his company for him and I ran it for a couple years. It was at that time when I realized the huge need in the space in the multifamily apartment world, and because I had some of the hardships that some of our clients have today. And that's when I decided to build a company called TurnServe, which is today a platform of synergistic, innovative brands. We have apartmentpainters.com, apartmentflooring.com, Liquid Liner. We have our patented product. We have software. We are truly a one-stop solution of creative, innovative brands, providing solutions for some of the biggest property managers in the world. And when I left a comfortable corporate job, and I was hoping that it would work. And luckily enough for me, it did. And little by little, just the first 3 months, we went from $0 in revenue to I think I had my first $10,000 month by month two. And at the time, I was so excited and so happy. But then that quickly went away because I realized I had to start hiring and I had to move fast. And so little by little over the years, we built different brands and landed on the Inc. 5000 list. We got private equity back last year, and we are actively expanding into 30 plus locations as fast as we can. We are one of the top 500 fastest growing companies in America last year, which is surreal to say. It still hasn't hit me yet because my head's always down working. But I have a great team. We have a great solution. We have some of the best clients in the space.
Yeah, really interesting. And we'll dive into it. One of those is hiring, and the woes of hiring. And what one thing is, what is if people are listening and then you build these $1 million brands very quickly? What is I don't want to say like the silver bullet, but how do you do it so quickly?
Yeah, so the biggest thing, there's a lot. You learn along the way. I think the biggest thing to start with is the market and the space. You really need to look at the tangible market and then the serviceable market as well. If you decide to do something in a space that's relatively small and there's no upside or it's a dying industry, you're probably going to have a very boring job and probably be unemployed soon. So for me, looking at something like the multifamily space, for example, it's growing, it's pretty recession proof. There's a housing shortage all the time. 50% of renters move each year, creates a predictable need, and it lacked innovation. And for me, all those things, I'm looking around, I'm like, why is nobody else playing in this space? And I was like, all right, red flags because I don't see any big players here, but I'm going to tiptoe in, and it just took off. Picking the right industry is pretty important. And then also the other side, the framework of the organization. So first, A lot of people will applaud this and some people will frown upon this. I built my companies with the end in mind first. I built them reverse. All right, if I had to exit this company for $500 million, how would I do it? And at the time, it sounded outlandish. I wasn't delusional. I was like, wow, that's incredible. I hope I can get there. But I read a handful of books. I talked to a handful of smart people, and they said, start with the end in mind. And that's what I did. And so when you break things down into processes and you could connect dots on a whiteboard and you can figure out KPIs and metrics that manage each one of those relays between the dots, you could fill people in those roles and give them very clear direction and let them come in and just do an incredible job. So you have to be very precise on what they're doing, what the goal is. And the last part I'll share is this. I try to oversimplify to a fault. I try to simplify so much where there's no guesswork involved. Here's three things I need you to do. Here's the three metrics I need you to manage. If you're within these parameters, I'm never gonna knock on your door and ask what you're doing. Like, we're good. So you need to build things that are so simple that a person on the street could read your SOPs and understand the goal. Complexity leads to failure is what I've learned. And by having generalists that can show up and do a great job time and time again, you build out systems and strategies and you put KPIs and metrics around them. That's where you'll win. When things are overly complex, you try to be clever, you try to outsmart everybody. All those things fail all the time. Now, I play ball in a very simplistic industry that has a huge need, and I recognize that. Props to people in the medical space and in engineering and things where it is complex and it has to be. But for us, for the normal average business, the biggest cheat code is build it simple with yourself out of it in mind. If you had to communicate and transmit data or currency without doing it yourself, how would you tell the next person what to do through a system? If you have to verbalize it, it's going to fail. If they could follow it and you don't need to be in the room, it's going to win. So build it simple and build it strategically. Build it with the end in mind is my approach. And that's how I've been able to scale. And the last part I'll share is the human element. All of my managers, everybody else, I align their interests with mine. It's no question I'm building this thing for scale. We're going to sell it in the future, you name it. All of my managers up have equity in my company. And so when I talk about, hey, we're going to have a big exit in the future, they're like, yeah, let's go, versus, oh, cool, that's good for you. What about us? We run open books. There's nothing left to guess. We have a great culture handbook. We have everything in place. We handle all of our non-negotiables up front. The whole entire team decided and voted on how do we handle things such as somebody's not performing well? How do we, a technician isn't in uniform or what have you? When the whole team gets behind that and it's thriving through that culture, things feel really good. And when you have a good culture in place, speed is your best friend. And that's why we've been able to scale so much.
Hmm. Interesting. And because I love the language that you're doing around scaling, because you're talking about speed, you're talking about systems, processes, duplicating yourselves, automation, delegation, elimination. Once you have this streamlined, it's really awesome. What challenges did you face in scaling multiple businesses? What talk about some of those and what you did to overcome them?
Sure. So I messed up a lot. I hear like I do a lot of podcasts. I'm a guest host, you name it, and everyone always talks about the good things. And I say that's not where the value is. The value is in the things I did wrong. Learn from me. I think the biggest thing at first, when you first start, even if you try to be laser focused, you see an opportunity, you get an itch, like, oh, is that the one? Should I try this one too? You really try to do way more than you have to. And sometimes you get impatient. Although you move fast and all those things, you just can't help but think, hey, it's day 17. I haven't gotten a single response. Maybe I should abandon ship and jump to the next thing. You got to stay in there. You got to keep on swinging. And so for me, we started off, although we were pretty zeroed in, laser focused and whatnot, we were taking any job we can get at first. We were trying to get revenue on the board and say, hey, can you guys do this? Can we do it now? Yeah, we can do that. And we did that a few times and we figured out what to do and whatnot. But at first, I wish we would have stuck to the core strategy from day one. At the same time, we didn't know what it was until we tested a little bit. And so it's just one of those things. I would say where I messed up at the most earlier on was not managing the non-negotiables up front, not having an upfront contract with early employees or vendors or things like that. And you don't don't realize it until it's too late, and it's really hard to remanage things after something happens. And so the first year is nothing but I am on my heels just waiting for things to hit me. By the second year, I said, hey, I'm probably going to tell this person up front, like, I expect you to be a full-time employee. So that means you can't be at home 4 days a week. And also on the other side of that, where I messed up a lot as well was I was very secretive the first year because my mentor said, hey, you don't share your numbers. Don't tell people how much money your company makes. Don't do this. Don't do that. And props to them. They built fortunes and empires in a time period where it was a little bit different. I realize now, I wish I would have started with this open book. Say, hey guys, we did our first $1,000 in revenue. We all celebrate. Whereas before, I'm like, all right, if they knew we did $1,000 in revenue, I'm in trouble. So there's a couple things along the way I wish I would have started with, but you don't learn that until you go through it. And I'm going to spare you the 5.5 days of conversation about where I messed up at the most, but a lot of it just expectations and just managing things before they happen.
Mm, yeah. And along those same lines, what marketing and sales tactics do you feel are relevant in today's age? Because we're gonna talk about AI as well, but what worked for you?
Yeah, so the first couple of years, it was just me on a phone calling my buddies in the industry. And it's a cop out, but it speaks to what I mentioned before, selecting the right industry for you. So we go after property management companies that have thousands and tens of thousands of apartments under management. We don't go after a single renter. We don't go after a single homeowner. If we ring the bell with two clients, we might have just picked up a 500,000 unit portfolio that needs 250,000 of those serviced every year. So I have a bit of a cheat code because of the market I'm in. However, the first couple of years, it was all word of mouth. You get a couple referrals and you're busier than you know what to do with. I was working from 5 in the morning till midnight every night before I could hire somebody because how much it took off. The biggest thing is for sales, marketing, et cetera. I have a couple strategy things, but before that, you have to really understand why you're doing what you're doing. For us, we wanted to update and innovate the housing space. We wanted to share convenience. Our purpose is to foster well-being by beautifying spaces. And that's not just for the residents or the tenants or what have you. It's for the convenience and quality of life for property managers, maintenance supervisors, for our technicians doing the services. You have to really understand why you're doing what you're doing. Once you could bottle that, you speak to the human element of it, and you talk about the hero's journey on this whole thing. What's your value proposition? We sell convenience in an efficient, dependable way. Fast forward to today, what's it look like? So there's obviously AI. You have all these things in sales and marketing and video messages. Who knows? Maybe this is just a transcript and this is my AI clone and this is who's talking to you right now. But the reality of it is, if your checks and balances, you have all of your operations and your goals narrowed down to two or three, you're able to work on those things extensively. Example for us, last year we built a virtual call team. They're not in person. They are in different countries. They are the coolest people I've ever met in my life, and they have never seen us. I've never met them. They've never met our clients. They know who we are at a core because of our purpose, and they know the solution that we offer is superior. And so we have an outbound call team. End of the day, calls will never go away, at least right now. And so we really doubled down on that. There's things that we've tried and we're not quite involved yet in on automated emails and AI emails and whatnot. But a lot of it is just having a very clear goal, a very clear offer, and a very clear value proposition for your customers. If you try to sell like 25 things, hey, what's your pain point? Oh, I don't care about that. Look what I can do for you. You're going to lose. If you ask them, hey, what's your biggest stressors today? Oh, it's a tenant turnover and taking 25 days between renters because you can't get somebody to show up. What if we did that for you in 2 days or one day? And you solve that internal pain point for them. Once you do those things, sales and marketing kind of come second in a weird way, but they're just as important. But just automating, know your numbers, know what you're trying to do and why, and be super laser focused on changing those dials. So understanding that is going to go a long way. But also, lastly, you have to be able to try out new things. If all of a sudden I just built 1,000 person outbound cold calling center, that's cool. But you hear things about Smith AI and you hear about these other like outbound sales automated AI callers and whatnot. You at least have to look to see what's going on to see if you can automate and streamline. And we have for the most part. We rely on a lot of AI internally. We try to keep the human connection still human as much as possible, but we try to make it more convenient, such as our invoice processing and reminders and our support side of things and our tickets and whatnot. So really it all goes back to knowing your client, what you have to offer them.
Yeah. And because I love this idea because you talked about going from like real estate, which is this very slow moving, but like creating systems and processes and platforms like Airbnb or Zillow or Redfin. Talk about how you're thinking about AI and positioning yourself and how you're using it for either automation or delegation, elimination, hiring. What are your thoughts?
So AI is going to improve quite a lot. Our first focus with it is the customer experience. That's so quality of life, user interface, all those things. If we can improve the customer experience first, it's going to result in retention and new revenue. So that's our focus first and foremost. Second is quality of life for my team. Quality of life is super important. When you normally talk to somebody that has a painting brand, a flooring brand, a bathtub refinishing brand, you think of hard hats and muddy boots and just people, guys and ladies just out there just doing their thing, their ripped jeans and whatnot. It's not like that. So quality of life is so important for your team. And if you looked at our headquarters or any of our spaces throughout any cities, we look more like an Apple store versus a service business because the way we're set up is streamlined, it's efficient, it's automated. We use Mac devices and you use Copilot, all these other kind of things. So customer experience first and foremost. Second is quality of life for my team. And then I would say probably third, and I'm probably breaking some rules here by saying this, probably third is a focus on sales and marketing with AI. Because I view it as if we take care of those first two things, the rest is really going to take care of itself. Take care of your employees, they will take care of your customers, you'll keep customers. But then just trying things out. When you focus on quality of life, hey, we need an auto transcriber, which those have been around for a little while now. The simple things, you don't think about this. If you could save 5% of someone's day here and 10% there and 20% there, and you cut out the things that they hate the most, they are going to perform super well in the things that they focus on. So all around the board, that's my cadence, my rhythm, where I'm focused on. Again, it goes back to calling, searching for like databases, for example. We rely on a lot of AI for that. Answering services, that's a big one too. But all of those things, the goal is to improve customers and team members. So it's not going to replace those things, in my opinion. It is going to seriously empower them, though.
Yeah, I love that. We know we were talking about culture and hiring, and I was having lunch with a friend and colleague, and he was talking to me about his like, you either hire well or you can't hire. And like he was talking about just C players, and they have to end up like getting fired or they steal from you, or and then the A players, they go off, they start their own companies. Or so talk about your process for hiring and how you retain top talent.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging all the time, right? You said it well. The best employees, the most capable employees, they're not going to be employees for long if you don't treat them well. They are
Yeah.
going to be entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, CEOs, and leaders of their own companies one day. And that's a challenge. I think the biggest thing is for us, we really have to go back to purpose and vision. You need to convince people we're solving a huge need. There's a ton of upside. We're going to create massive amounts of jobs, and we're going to do some really interesting things here. Those A players, you can't sell them necessarily. You need to show them like your goals and whatnot. Because if not, if you say, hey, we're going to do $1 billion in revenue next year, come on board, they're going to sniff it right out. Whereas if instead you talk about the purpose and the impact you're going to make, that's going to catch their ear. And then the second part of that as well is if you have a pretty good framework worked out, I'm all for hiring people and letting them come in and set things up. However, what I've learned is even the best players that you could attract, A's, B's, and whatnot, as long as you give them parameters, and that just might mean how they operate from a cultural standpoint, or hey, here's our targets, here's what we offer. At least it gives them a framework to build on. It tells them what plot of land to build a house on. Whereas if you just say, hey, build this cool house, and there's no direction, there's nothing. Guess what? You might be moving to Connecticut. But long story short, like that side is very important. It all comes back down to the vision, the culture, and it has to be opportunistic for them too. I mentioned earlier, all of my managers and up have equity in my company. It's
Mhm.
because I want them to benefit. I want their families to take this seriously. I don't need to have it all to myself one day. I don't mind breaking bread. And so that part is very important. The second part is when you're hiring, let's say, and there's people are at different phases of their journey. And just because somebody's field level today does not mean that's all they're capable of long term. They could grow and whatnot. When you have a company that is growing fast, opportunities are what people want. They want an opportunity to lead one day. They don't want a dead end job. They don't want something where it's going to be, this is my life for the next X amount of decades. So there needs to be a future thing that gets them incentivized and happy and motivated. And that side of the street, it goes back to, okay, Are we hiring specialists then? And normally the first answer is, yeah, we need somebody that can come in and do all these things. No, you need to do a better job as a developer, as a creative. You need to come up with processes where more of a generalist can follow this and have great success. If you spend more time on the framework, you will get better results from your employees. And then those A players that come in, they can amend it for you. They could change it for you and improve it. So for us, that's been a huge factor with scaling, with growing by 1,000%, all these things. We need to be able to find generalists that can follow a process and do a good job. But on the other side, we also need to be able to attract those A plus players that understand the goal with impact and the vision and everything else. And if you don't have any of those, if your mentality is, I'm going to make $1 billion and my team's going to get paid a decent salary, we'll figure it out. You're going to lose, especially today, 2025 and beyond. You better be taking care of your team more than you take care of yourself. I really mean that.
Yeah, yeah. And I know, like I've heard, for example, Tony Robbins, he has a profit sharing plan for his employees so they stay engaged and invested. Lastly, talk about how can people find you and connect with you and how TurnServe can help e-commerce brands optimize sales, marketing, and customer experience.
Yeah. So first off, so TurnServe, our website, turnserve.com is the best way to find us. It is an overview about our brands. We do a couple cool things. We have a lot of programs geared for property managers and property owners, and we're always looking to expand. We love partnering with local small businesses. We don't want to take their jobs. We want to partner with them. Our platform provides a convenient source for them to where we could take on their invoicing and their follow-ups and insurance and all those things, and we could acquire these smaller companies and they can still have a prominent role and still have equity in all these things. And so the biggest offering we have from the community, for the community I should say, is we want to work together. We love to talk to small companies, 3 to 5 person teams that normally go under the radar. Even bigger is okay too, but reach out to me and talk about what you do. Even if it's not a painting, flooring, refinishing brand, but it's something cool that's innovating and there's potential for growth, talk to me. I would love to talk to you as an entrepreneur and partner with you or talk about investing or you name it. That's one side. And then as far as connecting with me, turnserve.com is the best way to my companies. However, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all the social medias, and I hate like selling myself on them, but I'm naturally just there because that's where everybody else is. I'm curious what other people are doing. And the more of these I do, the more podcasts I do, I realize what's a very quick spot for somebody to reach out to me. So my last name is Dunagin. So DunaginCollective.com or just Tyler Dunagin on LinkedIn is the best way to reach out. And as long as it's not an automated AI sales message, I will respond to you and I'll engage with you. So reach out to me. I love networking and learning about what people are doing.
Awesome. A very inspiring conversation. I love your energy and passion and keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. I hope to do it again soon.